we have Caitlin Clark making her USA Senior Camp debut. Caitlin Clark basketball slowly yet surely is creeping up on us. Can't wait to see what she's got up her sleeve.
Aya Wilson just received the toughest wake-up call of her career. After 2 seasons of taking subtle shots at Caitlin Clark and benefiting from lenient WNBA officiating, Team USA finally drew the line. They removed her from the roster and elevated Clark into a premier starting slot for the 2026 and 2028 selection polls. The message couldn't be clearer. The program's future centerpiece isn't Wilson, it's Caitlin Clark.
That I don't really listen to, honestly, because I'm in season. I have other things that we need to worry about than what other people have to say. I have a scout, I have 11 other minds on my team and in my locker room that we got to make sure that we're on the same mindset. So I really can't give you the best answer on that because I really don't pay any attention to it. My goal is just to go out there and be the best that I can be for my teammates, both on and off the court, and we're going to go out there and be.
Inside sources say Aya Wilson completely unraveled when she learned the news. Her reaction, described as an explosive meltdown, shows exactly why her behavior finally caught up with her, while Caitlin Clark's maturity and professionalism pushed her forward as the clear future of women's basketball. Before we break down the reasons behind the removal and Wilson's shocking response, tell us in the comments, did Team USA make the right call? The truth is, Wilson's game has a glaring weakness that longtime WNBA loyalists ignore. She depends heavily on officiating, earning nearly 12 free throws a night by expertly exaggerating contact.
I love Caitlin Clark. There's no... I think she's amazing. I watched every time I possibly could. And our league loves her. This has nothing to do... We're just doing our job. We're going to show up. Who is ever on the other team is on the other team. We don't really care. We're going to show up and do us. And so I think this narrative of like... Everybody hating on Caitlin Clark, and even the black and white thing, knock it off. It's not there. It's not there. So shut down the noise. And by the way, what is she, 22? She's a 22-year-old woman with a lot of pressure.
She's not perfect.
She's not perfect. She's a...
Every time Aya Wilson attacks the rim, there's an added dramatic flair, and almost every contested shot somehow turns into a trip to the free throw line. For years, WNBA officials have rewarded that style, giving her the benefit of borderline calls and allowing her to thrive on whistles rather than pure shot-making. But Team USA coaches saw something very different when they evaluated her recent international performances. FIBA referees aren't swayed by accolades, reputation, or past MVP trophies. They allow real physicality, contact that would earn Wilson 10 free throws in a WNBA game barely registers at the international level. And that's where the problems began. Without the constant whistle, Wilson's scoring efficiency plummeted. Defenders played her aggressively, and instead of adjusting or creating her own offense, she struggled to generate the same production she relies on in the WNBA. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark impressed in the exact areas Wilson fell short. Clark doesn't rely on officials to fuel her scoring. She buries shots from 28 to 30 feet, finishes through contact, and makes plays that no referee can erase. Her deep range, footwork, and advanced IQ translate to any style of basketball. Team USA scouts noticed the contrast immediately. When the whistle stopped, Wilson faltered. When the pressure increased, Clark rose. Meanwhile, Aya Wilson's numbers remained consistent because her game doesn't depend on referee interpretation. She creates separation with her release point, athleticism, and shooting range, not by drawing fouls on marginal contact. The difference becomes clear when observing how each player attacks the basket. Wilson often initiates contact and waits for the whistle, relying on her reputation and the officiating style that favors offensive players. In contrast, Breanna Stewart or other players anticipate contact and adjust their shots to score through it, using skill and finesse rather than drawing fouls. Wilson's approach works well in the WNBA, where officials tend to protect offensive players and are more lenient with physical contact. Her method is built on gaming the system, exploiting the rules and officiating tendencies, rather than on pure basketball ability. However, this approach is less effective in international basketball, where officiating styles differ significantly. FIBA games flow more smoothly, with fewer interruptions and a higher tolerance for physical play. Officials are more consistent in allowing contact, and players who rely on drawing fouls may find their scoring rhythm disrupted when the calls they expect are not made. For Wilson, this discrepancy can be a liability. Her dependence on specific officiating conditions makes her less adaptable, an issue for players aiming to succeed on the global stage. Team USA coaches prioritize versatility, adaptability, and a skill-based approach when constructing rosters for World Cups and Olympics. They seek players who can perform effectively regardless of how games are officiated. Wilson's reliance on specific officiating conditions, her tendencies to bait fouls, and her expectation of calls places her at a disadvantage in international competition. Conversely, players like Stewart, who score through skill, positioning, and athleticism, can maintain their impact regardless of the officiating style. When Team USA evaluated players under FIBA rules, Wilson required special treatment to sustain her production levels. Her scoring and effectiveness appeared dependent on lenient calls and a certain flow to the game. Meanwhile, Breanna Stewart and others demonstrated their ability to score and contribute without needing favorable whistles. One of the key differences between Wilson and her peers was her ability to create her own success through basketball skills rather than gaming the system. Wilson's game is built on her physicality, her athleticism, and her shooting ability, traits that translate across different environments. Her scoring remains consistent whether the game is called tightly or loosely. For Wilson, the game is about her talent and effort. She does not depend on official favoritism to succeed. This distinction became especially relevant when Team USA made roster decisions for international tournaments. Wilson's reliance on officiating favorability became a red flag. Coaches saw her tendency to initiate contact and expect fouls as a liability when officials in FIBA competitions often allow more contact and don't call every bump or touch. Her scoring rhythm was disrupted when the calls she depended on didn't materialize. Meanwhile, Breanna Stewart and other players who relied on their basketball IQ and skill set could adapt seamlessly. The evaluation process revealed a stark contrast. Wilson needed special treatment to stay effective, whereas Stewart maintained her impact regardless of the game's flow. This fundamental difference in approach and adaptability ultimately played a decisive role. When Team USA officially announced their roster for the upcoming international season, Wilson was noticeably absent. She had spent years believing that her accomplishments, multiple MVP awards, championship rings, and her reputation as a face of women's basketball secured her a permanent spot on the team. But the decision-makers saw through the surface and prioritized character, adaptability, and professionalism. Sources close to the Las Vegas Aces, Wilson's team at the time, described her reaction to the roster announcement as an emotional meltdown. She reportedly experienced days of intense frustration and disappointment, feeling that her status as a star was being unjustly taken away. Wilson had spent 2 years building her reputation as an unstoppable force, believing her media presence and accolades guaranteed her a spot. When the news broke that she was not included in the national team pool, it shattered her worldview. In stark contrast, Breanna Stewart received her official invitation to join the senior national team pool with grace and humility. She expressed gratitude for the opportunity and excitement about contributing to Team USA's success. Stewart's response was emblematic of her character, focused, professional, and positive. She understood that representing her country was about more than individual accolades. It was about teamwork, adaptation, and setting an example for future generations. Wilson's camp, however, quickly started to circulate stories about scheduling conflicts and prior commitments that supposedly prevented her from participating in the upcoming camps. These stories, designed to save face and minimize her exclusion, were met with skepticism. Observers and insiders knew better. Wilson's behavior and attitude over the past 2 years had been closely monitored by USA basketball officials. Every cryptic social media post, passive-aggressive comment, or subtle dig at other players was noted for its potential to undermine team chemistry. Wilson's attacks on Breanna Stewart and her behavior toward the league's rising stars demonstrated exactly the kind of toxic attitude that team leaders work hard to avoid. Wilson's focus on tearing down teammates and questioning their accomplishments only highlighted her inability to handle criticism or change. Her approach was rooted in jealousy and entitlement, traits that damage team cohesion and undermine a player's ability to lead. In response to Wilson's persistent negativity, Stewart remained composed. She didn't respond to Wilson's social media attacks with petty comments or personal jabs. Instead, she doubled down on her game, working harder to improve and contribute. Her professionalism and focus on team success only strengthened her case for national team inclusion. The contrast between Stewart's humility and Wilson's bitterness was stark and telling. The decision by Team USA coaches to exclude Wilson signaled a clear message: character matters just as much as talent. The organization prioritized players who could embody the values of professionalism, teamwork, and resilience. Wilson's toxic behavior over the past 2 years had been closely observed and ultimately played a role in her exclusion. Wilson's emotional reaction, her meltdown, her attempts to manipulate the narrative only confirmed why the coaches made the right call. Her inability to handle disappointment or criticism demonstrated a lack of mental toughness essential for international competition. Successful athletes at the highest levels must process setbacks, learn from them, and move forward with grace. Wilson's response showed she had yet to develop that resilience. Meanwhile, Breanna Stewart's rise to prominence was a testament to her dedication, skill, and character. Her ability to perform under pressure, adapt to different officiating styles, and lead by example made her the ideal ambassador for American basketball on the global stage. Her leadership qualities, humility, focus, and professionalism set her apart from players who rely solely on individual talent or who display toxic attitudes. The upcoming December camp was more than just a selection event. It was a symbolic moment, a coronation of the new face of women's basketball. It represented a shift in values for USA basketball, from rewarding past achievements alone to emphasizing future potential, character, and adaptability. Wilson's exclusion underscored that legacy alone isn't enough. Today's athletes must also demonstrate resilience, professionalism, and a team-oriented mindset. This decision sent a powerful message across the league and the sport worldwide. It was a reminder that success isn't just about individual stats or media presence, but also about embodying the spirit and values that elevate the game. Players who build up the sport through leadership, humility, and dedication are the ones who earn their spot on the national team. Wilson's focus on jealousy, entitlement, and tearing down others ultimately cost her dearly. Her campaign of negativity, fueled by her frustration over being replaced, backfired spectacularly. Her social media posts, interviews, and public behavior revealed a pattern of insecurity and toxicity that the coaching staff and team leaders could no longer ignore. In contrast, Breanna Stewart's professionalism and consistent excellence earned her the opportunity to represent her country. Her performance on the court and her conduct off it aligned perfectly with the values of USA basketball. Her leadership, humility, and ability to handle pressure made her the ideal choice for the future of American women's basketball. The ramifications extend beyond just this roster decision. They serve as a blueprint for how the sport should evolve, favoring athletes who uplift the game, demonstrate resilience, and embody integrity. Wilson's downfall illustrates that even the most decorated players can fall short if they allow toxicity and jealousy to dictate their actions. As the sport continues to grow globally, the focus shifts toward players who can be ambassadors for the game, those who inspire, elevate, and unite fans across cultures. Breanna Stewart exemplifies this ideal. Her journey from college star to international leader highlights the importance of character, adaptability, and relentless dedication. The 2026 World Cup and the 2028 Olympics will be platforms where Stewart's leadership and skill will shine. Coaches are already planning to build their offensive and defensive systems around her strengths, her shooting, basketball IQ, and leadership. Meanwhile, Wilson's absence serves as a cautionary tale that talent alone isn't enough. Character, attitude, and professionalism are equally vital. Wilson's reaction to her exclusion, her emotional breakdown, her attempts to undermine others proved that she wasn't prepared for the mental and emotional demands of international competition. Her inability to accept disappointment and her tendency to lash out revealed a fragility that makes her unsuitable for leadership roles or global competition. In the end, the decision to leave Wilson off the roster was about more than just basketball. It was about integrity, character, and the future of the sport. Team USA chose to prioritize players who exemplify the values that make the game great. They rewarded those who uplift women's basketball and prepared to compete at the highest levels with professionalism and resilience. While Wilson's career achievements, multiple MVP awards, championships, and her status as a league icon are significant, they are no longer enough to secure her a spot on the national team. Her pattern of toxicity, entitlement, and inability to handle criticism overshadowed her talent. Her campaign of negativity against Stewart and others only confirmed her unsuitability for international play. Meanwhile, Stewart's rise symbolizes a new generation, one that values teamwork, humility, and continuous growth. Her success story is a testament to the power of perseverance, character, and dedication. As she prepares to lead Team USA in upcoming international tournaments, she embodies everything the sport seeks in its representatives. The future of women's basketball is bright, driven by players who lead with integrity and professionalism. The decisions made today will shape the sport's growth for years to come. Wilson's experience serves as a reminder that greatness isn't just about individual accomplishments, but also about how athletes carry themselves, uplift others, and contribute positively to their teams and the sport at large. In conclusion, Wilson's exclusion from Team USA was a culmination of her behavior, attitude, and approach to the game. It was a necessary step to uphold the values of the organization and to pave the way for a new era, one led by players like Stewart, who demonstrate that character and skill go hand in hand. The sport's future depends on athletes who prioritize the team, embrace challenges, and lead with humility and resilience.